In the boundless void, where stars flicker like dying embers, a lone cultivator walks the razor's edge between fate and annihilation. The path he treads is stained with blood, betrayal, and the echoes of countless fallen souls. Yet his resolve remains unshaken. In the previous chapter, the storm of conflict thickened, and unseen forces began to tighten their grip around Wang Lin. Ancient powers stirred, secrets whispered through the cracks of the heavens, and the price of defiance grew ever steeper. Each step forward now courts disaster, and every choice may tip the balance between life and oblivion. Now, as we enter Renegade Immortal Chapter 635, Chapter 636, the winds of destiny howl louder than ever. Hidden dangers lurk in the shadows, and the line between hunter and prey begins to blur. Will Wang Lin seize control of his fate, or be swallowed by the merciless tide of the cultivation world? The legend continues, yet the heavens themselves seem to hold their breath. Before anyone could even draw a steady breath, death had already taken shape. The creatures came like a whisper at first, tiny, no larger than a fingertip. Yet in the next instant, they shifted colors, blending seamlessly with the jagged cliffs. Their bodies flickered like illusions, merging with the surroundings so completely that even the sharpest eyes could not tell where stone ended and where the swarm began. And then, without warning, they moved. Like a storm of shadows, the insects dispersed into the air, forming shifting clouds that blurred the boundary between reality and deception. A single moment of hesitation, and they would already be upon you. In the blink of an eye, the swarm split into 5 distinct torrents and surged toward the cultivators below. Dujian's face instantly drained of color. He had seen this horror before. Not long ago, a puppet, crafted with both flesh and spirit, had been devoured in mere breaths. The insects had burrowed into its body, stripping it down to nothingness, leaving not even a trace of its soul behind. There was no time to think. Without hesitation, Dujian slapped his storage bag and retrieved a jade talisman, the life-saving treasure bestowed upon him by the All-Seer himself. It could only be used 3 times. One use had already been spent long ago. This was the second. The moment the jade appeared, it erupted with radiant brilliance. A halo of rainbow-colored light burst forth, wrapping tightly around Dujian like a cocoon. But what followed chilled him to the bone. The insects did not scatter. Instead, as if drawn by instinct, they converged. Every single one turned toward that radiant glow, abandoning all other targets. They surrounded the rainbow barrier in a dense, writhing mass. And then, crunch, crunch, crunch. The sound echoed like teeth gnawing through bone. Dujian's scalp went numb. His heart pounded violently as terror surged through his veins. "Brother Murong, save me," he shouted desperately, his voice cracking. Murong Zhuo hesitated for a brief moment. Then his eyes hardened. His hand formed a seal, and celestial spiritual energy surged through his meridians. Black mist gathered in his palm, condensing into a massive handprint formed from dark energy. With a decisive push, the handprint shot forward, ripping through the air toward Dujian, who was engulfed by the swarm. A thunderous boom erupted. But the result was utterly bizarre. The black handprint passed straight through the insects. It didn't slow. It didn't disturb them. It didn't even touch them. It passed through Dujian's body as well, as if both man and swarm were nothing more than illusions. The attack continued onward, striking the gap in the cliff behind him. Silence followed. Murong Zhuo's expression darkened immediately. His gaze locked onto the insects, his face turning grim. Zhao Yixuan, standing nearby, observed the scene with a deep and unreadable look in her eyes. As for Xu Fei, a fleeting glimmer of calculation flickered across her expression, yet it vanished almost instantly, as Wang Lin's gaze swept past her at that precise moment. Everything had happened in less than a breath. But Wang Lin saw it all, and his eyes lit up. Murong Zhuo stepped forward again, unwilling to yield. His hands moved rapidly, forming seal after seal. One spell after another erupted, each attack surging toward the swarm, yet every single one passed through harmlessly, as if striking nothing at all. Meanwhile, the crunching continued. The rainbow barrier surrounding Dujian began to dim, its brilliance fading rapidly under the relentless assault. Despair crept into Dujian's heart, but in that moment of desperation, clarity struck. He turned sharply toward Wang Lin, shouting with urgency, "Wang Lin, I know secrets of Master, secrets no one else knows. Save me, and I'll reveal everything." Wang Lin did not even look at him. His gaze remained fixed on the insects. These creatures were far too strange. At first, they had dispersed to attack everyone. Yet the moment Dujian activated the rainbow light, they abandoned all others and gathered in a single mass. Zhao Yixuan casually twirled a strand of hair, her voice soft yet chilling. "Once they finish devouring Senior Brother Du, we will be next. If we don't leave now, there may not be another chance." At that very moment, the rainbow light shattered. It collapsed instantly, like a dying flame extinguished by the wind. Dujian's mind trembled violently. Without hesitation, he activated the final use of his jade. Crack! The jade shattered, but the sound of crunching only grew louder. It echoed in his heart like a death knell. His pulse raced wildly. Gritting his teeth, Dujian revealed the deepest secret he possessed. "Wang Lin, I know the truth about your purple division. I know why Sun Yun betrayed Master back then. Save me, and I will tell you everything." Only then did Wang Lin turn his head. His expression remained calm. Without a word, he raised his right hand. A blinding golden light burst into existence. It was one of the 11 golden symbols he had obtained from the cave. Its radiance was like the sun itself, piercing through darkness, illuminating everything. The insects reacted instantly. A violent buzzing erupted as they abandoned Dujian entirely and surged toward the golden symbol. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed. His guess was correct. These insects were not immune to spells. They fed on light. Without hesitation, Wang Lin retreated a few steps. His hand moved again, and a crystal brush appeared. With swift, practiced motions, he began to draw, forming one golden symbol after another. The air filled with radiant glyphs. The swarm split into smaller groups, each cluster surrounding a symbol that devouring the light hungrily. There were not many insects, only a few hundred, yet due to their shifting forms and illusionary nature, they appeared like thousands. Now they crowded around more than 10 golden symbols, consuming them without pause. The sight stunned everyone. Zhao Yixuan and Xu Fei, for the first time, shared the same expression. Shock. That identical reaction did not escape Wang Lin's notice. A strange feeling stirred within him. Something he had sensed before, but could never quite grasp. It became clearer, but there was no time to dwell on it. In a flash, Wang Lin stepped forward, arriving beside Dujian. His hand shot out. At that critical moment, Dujian revealed his true capability. As the 7th disciple of the Red Division under the All-Seer, he was no ordinary cultivator. He bit down hard on his tongue, spitting out a mouthful of origin soul blood essence. The blood hovered mid-air, boiling violently. It transformed into small spheres, each one radiating deadly power. Even Wang Lin, if touched, would suffer severe damage. But Wang Lin's eyes turned cold. With a flick of his sleeve, the blood spheres were swept aside effortlessly. Such techniques were common among cultivators. Desperate methods that sacrificed the user's vitality to kill an enemy. Dujian seized the opportunity. He retreated instantly, grabbing something from his storage bag. In his hand appeared several pieces of black, grotesque flesh like swollen tumors. Reluctance flashed in his eyes. This was a vile treasure he had spent decades refining, filthy flesh capable of contaminating any cultivator it touched. But now, he had no choice. With a roar, he threw them into the air. Boom! The sarcomas exploded, releasing a thick cloud of corruption that surged toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin stepped forward. His gaze grew colder. With a single point of his finger, the underworld river manifested. A dark, flowing current surged forth, swallowing the cloud of filth completely. The river, already the most polluted existence in the world, did not weaken. Instead, it grew stronger. Dujian's strongest weapon was utterly ineffective. Against someone who had comprehended his own Tao, it was meaningless. Unless Dujian could break through the barrier in his heart and step into the ascendant stage, he stood no chance. Wang Lin's hand moved like lightning. He seized Dujian. Despair filled Dujian's eyes. Without hesitation, Wang Lin severed his origin soul from his body using celestial spiritual energy. Then, with a swift motion, he retrieved his restriction flag. Countless restrictions burst forth, forming a sealed sphere, identical to the one that once trapped Yao Shishui. Dujian's soul was imprisoned within. And then, stored away, it all happened in an instant. Even Morong Zhuo, who had been about to speak, found himself too late. Wang Lin turned back. With a wave of his brush, the golden symbols returned to him. The insects, oblivious to everything else, continued devouring the light. Strangely, no matter how much they consumed, the light never diminished. Wang Lin narrowed his eyes. He extended a finger. A finger of death shot out. It passed through the golden symbol, just as Merongjuo's spells had passed through the insects. This scene did not go unnoticed. Merongjuo's eyes widened. "Spell immunity," he said gravely. Greed flickered briefly in Zhao Yichuan's eyes. Xu Fei remained composed, but her pupils contracted. Only Merongjuo showed no greed, only shock. Wang Lin remained calm. "Let us continue," he said. The golden symbols circled around him, each surrounded by insects. The sight made him appear almost divine, like a figure commanding light itself. He began descending. Merongjuo followed silently. The two women hesitated, then followed as well, keeping their distance. Fear had taken root. As they descended deeper into the ravine, Wang Lin pondered Merongjuo's words. "Spell immunity?" He shook his head inwardly. Impossible. There were no creatures immune to all spells. If an attack failed, it only meant one thing. It wasn't strong enough. He gathered a sliver of Ling Tianhao's sword energy into his fingers and touched an insect. The insect trembled, but it did not die. Shock flickered in Wang Lin's eyes. That single trace of sword energy was already near his limit. They continued downward. With Merongjuo's help, they navigated dangerous zones detected by Beilu's crystal. Progress was slow, but steady. Zhao Yichuan displayed mysterious techniques. Subtle, silent, yet devastating. Xu Fei appeared weaker, but the more Wang Lin observed, the more certain he became. There are people from that sect here, he thought, withdrawing his gaze. As long as they did not provoke him, he would not expose them. Merongjuo's spells, meanwhile, were astonishingly diverse. Not once had he repeated a technique. Wang Lin knew he could defeat Merongjuo, but not without paying a price. And if Merongjuo chose to flee, he would not be easy to catch. After resolving the matters here, I must study those escape techniques, Wang Lin thought. At last, they reached the middle lower depths of the tide abyss. A tremor stirred in Wang Lin's heart, but he suppressed it. Even Beilu's crystal could not see below this point. Yet, Zhou Yi was near. According to Beilu, his presence had been sensed here. Wang Lin clasped his hands. "Brother Merong, I have other matters to attend to. I will not continue downward." After a pause, he added, "It has been a fortune meeting you here. If you ever require my help, do not hesitate to ask." Such words were rare for Wang Lin. Merongjuo smiled faintly, a rare expression, and nodded. Without another word, he continued downward. Wang Lin hesitated, then sent a voice transmission. "Be cautious of those two women. If I am not mistaken, they belong to the corpse sect. One of them is already a corpse with an awakened origin soul." Merongjuo gave no sign of hearing, but his eyes sharpened. The corpse sect, a force feared even among cultivation nations. Soon, the three figures disappeared into the depths. But just before vanishing, Xu Fei casually flicked a strand of hair onto the cliff wall. After they were gone, Wang Lin's gaze turned cold. He extended his hand. The strand of hair flew into his grasp. "So my warning was not enough," he muttered. With a flick of his finger, green flames ignited. A strand of divine sense emerged from the hair. But before it could form, Wang Lin spat out a breath of origin energy. The divine sense collapsed instantly. Far below, Xu Fei's body trembled. Blood trickled from the corner of her mouth. And for the first time, fear appeared in her eyes. A single strand of hair, and within it, a hidden will that could have passed unnoticed even by seasoned cultivators. Wang Lin crushed it between his fingers. And in that instant, the air around him turned cold. Not the cold of wind, but the cold of killing intent. His eyes narrowed, glinting like frost under moonlight. That thread of divine sense had been concealed with terrifying precision. Had his attention wavered for even a heartbeat, it would have slipped past him entirely. Silent, undetected, and dangerous. "The corpse sect," he murmured inwardly, his thoughts sharp as blades. Their techniques truly defy expectation, concealing divine sense to this degree, not something to be taken lightly. A realization surfaced. That woman, Xu Fei, she sent out that divine sense herself. That means she is the true body. His gaze darkened. Which means Zhao Yichuan is nothing more than a corpse puppet. His mind drifted, pulled back through time. It was not guesswork that led him here. It was experience. He remembered Sun Tai, the slave Zhou Yi once forced upon him, Sun Tai had possessed a puppet unlike any other, a child's body, yet with intelligence far beyond its form. Its cultivation was profound, but what made it unsettling was not its strength, it was the relationship. That puppet was not merely controlled, it lived, it thought, it existed as though it were its own being. Two existences. Sharing a bond that defied the natural order, that memory stirred another. Sichunan. A faint flicker of warmth passed through Wang Lin's otherwise icy gaze. Situnan had once taken over a child's body, just as Sun Tai's puppet blurred the line between life and death. I wonder where he is now, Wang Lin thought quietly. For a brief moment, the ruthless cultivator vanished. In his place stood a man remembering an old companion. Perhaps on some distant cultivation planet, living freely among mortals as their king. Then another name surfaced, Sun Tai, head elder of the corpse sect on planet Suzaku. He had been cast into the void, flung into space by the overwhelming force of the giant demon clan's bloodline. Alive or dead, no one knew. Wang Lin inhaled slowly, steadying himself. The past faded. The present returned. His gaze sharpened once more. Before him stretched a chaotic network of cracks, branching endlessly along the cliffside of the tide abyss. Zhou Yi's aura, gone. Nowhere to be felt. Which meant only one thing. He would have to search. Every single one. Senior Zhou Zi was sealed here by Ling Tianhou, Wang Lin muttered, his eyes narrowing further. If so, the crack containing the seal must bear Ling Tianhou's aura. His divine sense surged outward, spreading like an invisible tide across the fractured stone. Time passed. Moments stretched. Then, a frown. He had checked them all, every visible crack, and yet nothing. No trace of Zhou Yi. Wang Lin's expression darkened. With a flick of his wrist, he summoned a crystal, the one Bei Lu had given him. His divine sense entered it. Moments later, he withdrew, his brows furrowed deeper. If Bei Lu spoke truth, then this should be the place he found Zhou Yi. He fell into thought. Would he lie? His mind calculated coldly. No, there is no reason. This matter holds no benefit for him. If he wished to harm me, he would not resort to such trivial deception. He would strike directly. His eyes flickered. Right now, his focus lies elsewhere, devouring the other ancient demons, then a possibility. His gaze turned sharp. Unless, a dangerous thought emerged. Unless he intended to lead me here, and kill me using another's hand. His divine sense swept the area once more, but again he shook his head. No. If that were his intent, he would have directed me to the depths of the tide abyss. That place is filled with unknown horrors. Perfect for such a scheme. He looked around. This place is too ordinary. Silence followed, yet Wang Lin did not give up. His divine sense expanded again, this time slower, more precise, more cautious than before. He examined each crack, every crevice, but the result remained unchanged. Nothing. He stood still, thinking. Then, his hand moved. With a slap of his storage bag, the soul flag appeared. A wave of his sleeve, and 1,000 powerful soul fragments surged forth like a storm of shadows. Under his command, they scattered, diving into every crack. Wang Lin closed his eyes, his divine sense split, merging with each fragment. In that instant, it was as though he himself had entered the cracks, seeing, feeling, searching. Every inch, every hidden corner. Nothing escaped him. Time passed. Half an hour. Then, the fragments returned. Wang Lin opened his eyes, and his expression turned grim. I have searched everything thoroughly, and still no trace of Zhou Yi. His voice was low, cold. Could it be that ancient demon Bei Lu truly deceived me? He waved his sleeve, his killing intent stirred, then suddenly, his eyes narrowed. No, something was wrong, a new thought emerged. If I were Ling Tianhou, his mind shifted. Perspective changed. The strand of sword energy he had once retained stirred within him. It moved, flowed through his body, and with it, a sliver of Ling Tianhou's domain. His gaze changed. The hesitation vanished. In its place, tyranny, pure, overwhelming, dominance. Ling Tianhou's domain was not subtle. It did not conceal. It crushed. It defied the heavens, carving its own path through sheer force. Wang Lin's eyes burned with that borrowed will. If I were to seal a sword spirit that resisted me, his thoughts thundered, I would not simply imprison it. I would force it to submit. If it refused, I would seal it for 1,000 years. If it still refused, 10,000 years. And if it dared persist, his gaze sharpened, I would destroy its spirit, refine it into a treasure, until it had no choice but to yield. He looked at the cracks. These are too obvious. If I were to choose, there must be a reason. His tyrannical gaze swept across the cliffside, searching, judging, selecting. Then, the tyranny faded like a storm receding. Wang Lin's body trembled, sweat poured down his face. His complexion turned pale. The domain within that strand is too overbearing, he exhaled heavily. Borrowing even a fragment nearly wounded me. He circulated celestial spiritual energy through his body, stabilizing himself. Then, he acted. With another slap of his storage bag, the celestial sword appeared, followed by the half-moon blade. He gripped the sword, stepped forward, and in one swift motion, turned. Sword energy exploded outward. A vortex formed around him, spinning, raging, tearing through the air. "Break!" His voice roared like thunder. The vortex shattered. Sword energy burst in all directions. The cliffside trembled, cracks spread wildly, stretching over 1,000 feet. Stone split, dust filled the air. Crack! His voice echoed again. More fractures appeared. Chunks of earth collapsed, falling into the abyss below. The cliff was being shaved away, layer by layer. Wang Lin did not stop. Again and again, sword energy surged outward relentlessly. 15 minutes passed, then a small opening appeared. From within it, a faint aura emerged, not Zhou Yi's, but tyranny. The same suffocating dominance. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. His hand formed a seal. He pointed. The celestial sword shot forward, the half-moon blade trailing behind. Rock shattered. Debris fell. And soon a hidden crack, buried 30 feet deep within the cliff, revealed itself. It was small, barely 5 feet tall, pitch black, silent. Wang Lin's divine sense moved toward it, but the moment it touched, a force struck back. A tyrannical divine sense, violent, unforgiving. Wang Lin was blasted backward. His body slammed into the opposite cliff with a deafening crash. Stone crumbled. His form was embedded into the rock. Blood surged within him, spilling from the corner of his mouth. He inhaled sharply. His eyes turned cold once more. With effort, he freed himself from the cliff and floated forward. His face grew paler. That clash had nearly shattered his origin soul. Had he not reached the ascendant stage, he would already be dead. How powerful! He stared at the dark crack. No doubt remained. Zhou Yi was inside, because that divine sense belonged to only one man, Ling Tianhao. A mere remnant, yet enough to kill all below the ascendant stage. Wang Lin's thoughts deepened. Just what realm has he reached? He calculated. The peak of the late ascendant stage marks the end of the first step. To step beyond, one must pass the trial of yin and yang and enter the second step, the 3 nirvana realms. Nirvana Scryer, Nirvana Cleaner, Nirvana Shatterer, each divided into early, mid, late, and peak. The All-Seer stands at the end of the second step, likely early Nirvana Shatterer. Ling Tianhao, his rival for tens of thousands of years. Wang Lin's eyes sharpened. They cannot be far apart. He must be at the peak of Nirvana Cleaner. A flicker of determination ignited within him. Compared to such beings, he was insignificant. He had not even reached the peak of the first step. Yet, he had walked this path alone, from a mortal boy to an ascendant powerhouse. Though to higher realms he was but an ant, within the first step, he was still a force. Wang Lin inhaled deeply, his finger pointed to his forehead. In an instant, 100,000 strands of slaughter energy surged forth. They transformed into life seals surrounding him, all but one. That final strand he fused into his own soul, ensuring that unless his origin soul was destroyed, these seals would never break. Next, the devil armor appeared. Black gas coiled around him, forming into armor. A sinister aura enveloped his body. Then more than 10 golden symbols, swarmed by insects, floated around him. Layer upon layer of protection, prepared, ready. Still, he hesitated for a moment. Then he took out the 1 billion soul flag. With a wave, it wrapped around him. Inside, over 100 million souls roared like a storm. Wang Lin's gaze hardened, resolute. Without hesitation, he stepped forward and charged straight into the darkness of the crack.